Welcome to the Let's Eat Grandma Career Warrior Podcast.
All right, folks, welcome to the 45th episode of the Let's Eat Grandma Career Warrior Podcast. This episode is epic, and I will tell all of you guys that this, just from a pure entertainment standpoint, was my favorite episode that I've ever done. And just to set the context a little bit, our last episode, episode 44, was about rejection therapy. So the concept of continuously asking for things that are outside your comfort zone to increase your boldness and likelihood of success. If you haven't listened to episode 44, I recommend pausing if you like and going back and listening to it, just because it was such a great episode and really sets the stage for this one. This is more of a part 2 if you think about it. So at the end of that episode, what Alex Grodnick and I did is we challenged all of our listeners to, for the next 30 days, go out and just find one rejection per day. Just get one rejection per day. Start off not that big of a deal, and doesn't matter how trivial these rejections are, but go out and start asking for things. And the idea behind this is this rejection therapy gets you to open up and stop living so inside your head. I think a lot of us are holding ourselves back by not asking for things because we're so afraid of that no. And you'll see in this episode just how trivial and unimportant no's really are. Now, I started my challenge here, and if you haven't started yet, now is the time to do so. What I want you to do is email me your funniest or best rejections at projects, that's projects, at letseatgrandma.com. And what we can do, if you give us your permission, is read them here on air just to show the world what we're doing here. All right, I will give a little disclaimer here and tell you all that these rejections and things I asked for are pretty darn ridiculous. And I asked for somewhat ridiculous things because that's just in my personality. That's what entertains me. And that's what I know would entertain you listeners here as you're driving in your cars or going for a jog or whatever. Don't feel like you have to ask questions like this. Like I said, this is just what I like to do. Instead, ask just something small, something simple, and work your way up to, things that you want to ask, rejections that you think might be good. I kind of brainstormed these ideas on my iPhone and just kind of typed them out, and I decided to ask for them day after day. The concept here is I will start asking for things that are a little bit more meaningful here in my own life. And an example of that might be asking, someone who I really admire, like Tim Ferriss, to join my podcast and be a guest in one of my episodes. I will admit that in the very beginning, this challenge was somewhat difficult for me. So getting that first ask and knowing I was going to get a no from a ridiculous answer was fairly tough. I think what I was doing was I was sitting in the sauna at Gold's Gym, and this guy was reading a magazine or a report or something like that. And I was going to ask him, "Hey man, what are you reading?" And he would tell me, and then I would say, "That's really cool. Would you mind reading some of that stuff out loud to me?" So just kind of sat there for a whole 2 minutes just thinking about it and was in my head during that time. So 2 key takeaways from that. First thing is, the more you think about it, the more you're in your head about something like this, the less likely you're actually going to make the leap and ask the question. And the second key takeaway is how hard it is the first time, but on the 5th or 6th or 7th time, it is just exponentially easier to ask for things no matter what the question is. So wrapping up this intro here before we launch into the clips, I challenge all of you to go out and get, let's start simple. Get 5 rejections this week. And even if they're the smallest rejections, they still count. And it does not count if you get a yes. So you have to go out and get those rejections. And what I'm actually going to do during this podcast is I'm going to continue to record some rejections, and I'll make them a little bit more relevant to my life and the business world, career world. So maybe I'll ask for things that actually matter, and I'll put them possibly in the beginning, middle, or end of my next few podcast episodes. But just for this one, this was a really good kickoff to the rejection therapy challenge. And you're going to hear 5 really entertaining rejections here. So without further ado, let's launch right into the first one. All right, and for my first rejection here, I am going to go into a small grocery store and ask for a 10% discount. We're going to keep it really simple just because it's just going to get really weird later on. And I think this is a good starting point. So imagine your really small local shop here in Austin, and there's a whole assortment of items. I'm going to go up and just get 2 random things. So just a comb, and I think I got like a hairspray bottle or something ridiculous like that. So these items are rung up at no more than $5, and I'm going in for that discount. Awesome, just these things.
Okay.
Random question: could I get a 10% discount on these things, or no?
10% discount?
Yeah. No. Okay. Fair enough.
Why?
I don't know. Someone said that you do 10% discounts on combs, but
No.
no.
I don't.
Okay. Sorry, I'm dumb.
It's okay.
Yeah. Give me my card. See, my hair's it's going away, so I got to do whatever I can to make it look good.
Mm-hmm.
You can see from up there, but I got that thing going on. Yeah.
I'm there myself.
Your PIN number.
Yeah. Thanks.
Even I'm losing some from the top.
Yeah, I use a thing called... All right, so there you have it, your first no. And I'm going to admit, this one was the hardest one for me, believe it or not. It's been a while since I've asked for things that are, a little bit, there's some gray area. So I had a lot of hesitation at first, but ironically, as the asks get weirder and weirder, it does get easier and easier. You can tell that it was not easy for me to do this because of my complete self-deprecation, calling myself dumb, and just shying away. But this gets fun, and let's continue on. All right, so for this next rejection, imagine you are in the Texas heat at 12 o'clock at noon, and you are on the stairs of a very large building here. So I'm going to find the next person who is wearing ear pods, strike up a conversation, and ask if I can wear them afterwards. Here we go. Hi, excuse me. Are those Apple EarPods?
Sorry?
Are those Apple EarPods?
Yeah.
Cool. How much are they?
So I think they're about $150
$100 for the wireless?
for the wireless with the charging case and everything.
That's crazy. I have these like $19 headphones and stuff. Is it like much better quality or?
I think the quality is better, but also the wireless component is my
Okay, cool. Can I try them on?
favorite.
Why not? Okay. I promise I don't have any earwax. All right, so for this third rejection, imagine that I am in my apartment complex building and I am standing outside my own stairs. So these are going to be people who I'm probably going to see on a regular basis here, but I don't care. This is part of the deal. So I'm going to meet one of my neighbors for the first time and ask if he wants to sing a song with me. Let's see how this goes. What's up, man? You just moved here?
No, I've been here.
Oh, okay. Got it.
You're asking.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I just moved here to Building Gate. My name's Chris.
Okay.
Awesome.
John, so you just moved in like earlier this week or something?
Like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been nice. I moved from like downtown.
So you said Chris? Your name's Chris?
Yeah. What's your name?
John.
John. That's cool. Yeah. How do you like living here?
Well, I've been here for almost a year. I moved in around June or so. There was a girl screaming about a snake in the apartment below me, and she was...
A
was a
snake
really small
inside the
snake.
apartment?
Well, it was inside her apartment at one point. She somehow got it, chased it out, but she was still freaking out. She was afraid it was going to find a way back inside.
Yeah.
We tried to call like I couldn't. It was too dark for me to tell what kind of snake it was, and it was small. Eventually, I just had to shoo it away with a broom, kind of kick it out. But
Yeah. Huh.
what do you do for a living?
I have a resume company and also a podcast. So
Oh, not. What's the podcast?
it's about people getting their jobs and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's called Career Warrior.
Cool.
Yeah, what do you do?
Paralegal.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
It's just kind of a glorified legal assistant.
Nice. You like to sing?
Sorry?
Do you like to sing?
Not particularly, no.
Oh, okay.
What, do you run a karaoke club or something?
Sometimes. Do you want to audition right now? We can sing a song right now.
No, I'm good.
Ah, man. Every once in a while, not all the time. See you later, John. Do you like to sing? Come on, buddy. All right, so admittedly, that was a little bit easier task than I thought it would. I kind of worked it into the conversation, but I still got that no, so it still counts. All right, this next one was not so easy, and I'll tell you why. All right, so for this next rejection, imagine you are standing on the corner of 9th Street in Brazos, so a fairly busy place here in Austin, Texas, and I'm going to grab the next person I see, or maybe the second because I got chickened out the first time, and ask him or her if they want to wheelbarrow me across the street. If any of you guys have seen the wheelbarrow races, it's where one partner will pick up the legs of another partner and just kind of, wheelbarrow them across. So probably the most creative one that I came up with here, and let's see what happens. Hey, excuse me, could I get your attention with something? Could you wheelbarrow me across the street?
What?
Like, have you ever played, the Hill Country Fair? They pick the person up by the legs and drive them across.
Yeah.
Could you wheelbarrow me across the street?
Nah, I got a meeting to go to right now, so I don't have time for that.
Fair enough, man. No worries. I'd say the same thing. All right, that one was a lot of fun, and I was surprised by how entertained he was by the question. If it's anything you're going to get from this, that's not boldness. It's just sheer entertainment value. People are getting a kick out of this. So I couldn't help myself. I had to ask another person and try to actually get a yes. Let's see what happens. Excuse me, sir. I don't know if you're in a rush or anything, but
I kind of am.
oh man, I was actually wondering, and this would make my day. Would you wheelbarrow me across the street?
Are you sure?
Have you ever done it before?
Picking up your legs and
then going across, yeah.
it's just like, why?
Well, they don't believe I can get someone to do it, and I've already asked like 2 people, and they said no. Oh fuck yeah! All right, I kind of don't want to do this, but now. Okay. All right, let's do it. I didn't think anyone was actually gonna say yes.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
We have 12 seconds, hurry!
All right, go. Fuck. All right, so at this point, I'm actually practically doing a handstand in the middle of the street with about 10 seconds left to go. There's a couple of cars pulling up and wondering what the heck I'm doing, but it was worth every moment and all the danger.
You got it.
Yeah. All right, you're the man for doing that.
Yeah.
And now I can go home and get some sleep.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Ryan.
Ryan. I'm Chris.
Nice to meet you.
Ryan's my middle name. So
Dude, you rock, man. Appreciate it.
that was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So that was one of my favorite ones, and the key takeaway from that specific instance was there obviously was some resistance in his voice. He said, I kind of am in a rush, and decided, you know what, it doesn't matter. Let's keep trying to get it. And in the very end, through the persistence and his obviously not wanting to do it, he ended up having a good time afterwards, and he said it made his day. So, yeah. All right, and so for my fifth and final rejection, I have a surprise for you guys. This is probably the most cringe-worthy thing that I asked for during the entire week. And guys, it's pretty bad. So I'm going to let the clip roll, and you guys will hear what my question is for this person to get the rejection. So imagine I am at Gold's Gym, the place where I frequent. I'd say I go to this one, I'd say once a week. And I am about to go strike a conversation with the girl who's working at the front desk. And I already spoke to her a couple of times before this. We've had a few interactions, and I'm going to come back for this third interaction. So just imagine this girl who's working front desk. She's a little on the shorter side, dark hair, fairly attractive, and a little bit on the shyer side, not very talkative at all. So this is going to be fairly difficult for me to pull off, but let's see what happens. It's a tough swim, but I made it. Yeah. You ever try swimming without goggles? You? No? It's really hard. Yeah. Were your eyes like burning or whatever? Okay. Yeah. Do you like working here? That's good. I would do this job, but I would be tempted to work out all the time, and that's like a problem for me. So. Yeah.
You need to ring your bell if you want it.
Yeah. I have a random question. I have a pimple on my back. Would you mind helping me pop it? All right, let me pause right there. I have a pimple on my back. Would you mind helping me pop it? Oh, gosh. I know I was the one who asked this question, but I cringe listening to the playback and the recording. But it was like, I will say that was much easier to do after I had dealt with the first few rejections. It just was one after the other. But I can't believe I would ask something like that. I'm still a little embarrassed, but key takeaway from that was I'm still alive today and nothing bad happened. And she was somewhat entertained by the question as well. Not thoroughly entertained. She didn't laugh, but she did have a smile on her face afterwards. And I will admit to you guys that this is the only one where I admitted to the person that I was kidding, and this was just a social experiment. Because, come on, guys, I see her like every week at the gym. So cut me some slack. If I can ask these absolute ridiculous questions that are over the top, then you guys can ask the more minor and more reasonable ones here, which is the point of the entire podcast episode. So the biggest key takeaways from the podcast are, A, the no's really don't matter. They're just not yeses, and they're really not that big of a deal. The more you expose yourself to them, the more you'll get comfortable with the idea of taking no for an answer and just enjoying it and just realizing it's not that big of a deal. And the second key takeaway, and this is probably my favorite one, is the more I kind of worked up my courage to ask for these ridiculous things, the more I noticed myself becoming more social, more extroverted, more energetic. And I noticed myself striking up conversations and starting conversations with people in times of my day when I probably would not have done so. An instance is when I went in and knew I was going to ask for somebody to help pop my pimple. I realized that anything else that I was going to ask for or talk to somebody about was so much more normal and less of a big deal than that instance. So it kind of desensitized me in such a way. So I ended up having a really fantastic conversation with a lady kind of before that about her career in acting, and learned so much from that conversation. And this was as a result of just being more open than I would have been. So the conversation actually led to me exchanging email addresses, and she may be a podcast episode guest later on because she has had such an amazing career, and I would love all of you guys to hear from her. All right, so that concludes our 45th episode of the Career Warrior podcast. So make sure to go out and get those 5 rejections this week and email me, and I will personally read them. I'm so excited to hear what you come up with and how your experience was and what you learned from that. And what I will do, like I said, is I will go out and record some more rejections here and perhaps I will make them more relevant to my career here and let you know how that goes. All right, guys, thanks for being listeners, subscribers, and fans of this podcast. Cannot thank you enough, and go out and be true warriors. And for more on your job search, make sure to check out letseatgrandma.com. That's where you can find our blog, where we post the podcast show notes and so many more articles that will help you in your job search. You can also check out our resume services if you are interested in getting your resume professionally reworked. And please make sure to show us some love by jumping onto iTunes and leaving us a rating. The support from my fellow warriors will show the world how great this podcast is and help other people in their job search. Pay it forward. Thanks, guys, for being true warriors, and thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week.